Hey there everyone, this is Cloud Chief, and in today's video I'm going over the changes that have happened to Domain Invasion. Just in case anyone who is not in the know about Domain Invasion, this is a public event that takes place in the two Escha zones and also in Resenjima. To be able to participate, you just need access to one of these zones. Then you just need to be there when the event goes on, talk to the starting NPC, and get an Everseal. To actually be able to get an Everseal, you do need to be level 99. So at this point, with the changes that have happened to Domain Invasion, basically the flow goes like this. Once you enter Domain Invasion, you have to wait until the event starts. Once it starts, you will get a certain number of ads that spawn. Once all the ads are cleared out, that will complete that wave, and then the actual dragon will spawn. Once you go ahead and defeat the dragon, that actually ends Domain Invasion for that particular zone, and then it actually moves on to the next zone. The progression of which zone Domain Invasion is going to be in always follows the path of going to Escha Zitah, to then Escha Ru'Aun, to then Resenjima, to then back to Escha Zitah again, and then it just completes the cycle, repeating. As soon as you get the Everseal and you are transported to where the dragon actually spawns, you'll actually see essentially a ring that will pop up. You need to make sure that you are in the ring to be able to get credit to receive the new Domain Invasion points. Do not have to do anything to obtain the points. As long as you have the Everseal and you are within the battlefield ring, as soon as the event is completed, you will accumulate 20 points. You can increase the amount of points you can obtain in doing one Domain Invasion by being the person who gets the last hit on either the ads or the actual dragon itself. By getting the last hit, they will give you a multiplier of 2 for each wave. So you get 20 points by just being in the event. By getting the last hit on one wave, that would then be a multiplier of 2, giving you 40 points. And then if you happen to also get the last hit on the dragon, that would be another multiplier of 2, which would then make it 80 points. The maximum amount of points that you can obtain in one day is 80 points. Therefore, by getting the last hit on 2 different waves will complete the amount of points you can get for the day and capping you out. If you do not get the last hit, then you would need to be doing at least 4 Domain Invasions a day per character to cap out the amount of points you can get. The old system for Domain Invasion is still in place in terms of gaining XP, beads, and silt. It still caps out at 1,000 maximum beads per Domain Invasion. Considering most people are trying to spam this out as fast as possible because they really care about getting Domain Invasion points as opposed to getting beads, the likelihood of capping out at 1,000 beads is substantially harder. I've only done it a handful of times in all the Domain Invasions I've done since the new update. It's really hard to say whether you are getting more beads or less over time. You're definitely getting less beads per Domain Invasion. However, considering how fast you can be jumping from one Domain Invasion to the other and going through, it is quite possible, but not guaranteed, that you would be getting more beads over time. And say if you were doing a 4-hour farm, it's possible with the new Domain Invasion you would accumulate more points than you would have with the old system, considering the amount of downtime between dragons. Again, it's not easy to say, and I think a big determining factor on whether it would be faster or slower compared to the old way would really depend on what server you're on and the volume of people that you have and how many beads you can get per run. If I am engaging on the dragon, I typically can get about 600 beads per run. If you are the person who gets the final hit on the last ad standing during the first wave, you will actually get a buff for when fighting the dragon called Enlightenment, which basically ups all your stats, gives you regain, regen, and I believe also refresh, just making you that much stronger when fighting the dragon. Another thing to be aware of during the ad phase is that if you try doing any type of AoE move, whether it's like Aeolian Edge or any AoE spells, the spell or move that you're doing on the mob that's the main target of getting hit by it will actually take full damage. Every other ad that gets hit by the AoE move takes substantially reduced damage. They basically set it up so you can't really AoE. Yet I see a lot of people, especially coming on blue, trying to spam the AoE spells. Outside of using Temporal Crush for defense down, I don't really see why people keep coming out here trying to spam AoE moves, because you're not really doing anything with it. Another change that has happened to Domain Invasion is that the more people that flag for the event and get an Ever Seal will actually speed up when the ads will start spawning. You can typically see this in action very easily right as the day change happens. As soon as JP Midnight hits and then the new day starts, when you can start accumulating points, at least on the server that I've been on, it is flooded with people, and you pretty much need to book it to the next zone after completing the zone to make sure that you're going to be there on time, so that way you can get points, because when there's a lot of people going, it goes relatively quickly. If you do go fast enough as a group clearing it out, you will have a little bit of time you have to wait before you can get the Ever Seal at the next zone. However, it seems like if you're having a lot of people and it's dropping the time, that does seem to adjust the amount of time that it's going to be for the next zone when you can get the Ever Seal. It typically just comes down to how fast you're killing the ad wave and the dragon wave for how long you're going to be waiting at the next zone. I'm not 100% sure on that in terms of waiting, but that seems to be how it works and what I've observed from spamming this out. So now let's move on to the actual drops and rewards that you can get from doing the new Domain Invasion. So they did make changes, and you no longer get any item drops from the dragon itself. All items and drops that you can get, you need to go obtain through your Domain Invasion points. You can cash in your Domain Invasion points to Zurem and Norg, who you can find at I-7, basically right near the other NPCs that can augment your Escha and Resenjima gear. Zurem will not interact with you until you have actually done at least one Domain Invasion and accumulated some points. Once you've done that, he will then talk to you and you are allowed to go in and then spend your points. For 10 points, you can actually get the Escha Elixirs +2 and the pouches that the dragon used to drop just for clearing it that give you the stones for augmenting Resenjima gear. For 40 points, you can get the new armor that they added that is 119. So this is not a terrible path to go for a new player to go about getting 119 armor, considering it's only 40 points. In 2.5 days of doing some Resenjima, you can have a full set of armor. For 80 points, you can obtain the new 119 weapons that they added that are Domain Invasion focused and are stronger in Domain Invasion. For 100 points, you can obtain any of the drops that you used to get from the dragons from doing Domain Invasion. Now you can just pick them up for 100 points. For 200 points, you can obtain any of the Escha Sky weapons that you can get from Tier 2 NMs. For 400 points, you can obtain any of the abjurations you can get from Escha Sky. For 600 points, you can obtain an earring that has +10 skill on it. For 800 points, you can obtain any of the Resenjima exclusive armor and weapons. And for 1000 points, you can obtain any of the new accessories or ammo pieces that they add that are just really good and strong pieces, what I think is the main thing people are spamming Domain Invasion out for. And lastly, for 1200 points, you can get a Worm Ash, which is actually used in several syntheses for some other equipment that is just really strong. So, something to note and be aware of. So, if you have a level 99 mule, it may be worth it to you to start doing Domain Invasion on your mule. While all the new stuff, so the accessories and the earrings, you cannot send to yourself if it's on the same POL account. However, any abjurations, any of the Escha Zitah weapons or the Resenjima weapons and or armor, as long as they are not augmented at all, you can actually send them to characters on the same POL account. So it may be worth it to you to go and start accumulating points on your mules, so that way you could actually get some of this gear on your main character by sending it, and then you just augment it on your main. And so that about covers the new Domain Invasion, how it works, how the drop works, how you get points, and the caps and everything. So now that we've gone over how it works, I kind of want to just give my thoughts on, the changes that they made to Domain Invasion. So, quite frankly, for me, with all the new changes they made, it's really a mixed bag. There's a lot of things I do like about the changes that they made, and then there's some things that I really do not like. So, let's dig into that, and I think I'm going to start with the things that I do like that they changed and added. So, I really like that they made this more accessible to new players. So if you are a new person just getting to level 99, this is a great event that you should pretty much immediately start doing. While I might make arguments for not getting the 119 armor, I wouldn't say it's a bad way to go either, to go ahead and get 119. You could easily just pick up a little bit of Sparks gear, not even all of it if you wanted to try and save your Sparks, and just do Domain Invasion for 3.5 days or 3.5 days worth of points, and bam, now you are 119, and you're going to be relatively strong in Domain Invasion, considering this armor is very strong in Domain Invasion. Outside of Domain Invasion, it's not that strong, but you should be trying to accumulate other armor. So it is a good entry point. I like it that they set it up so it is, again, much easier for new players to access. The other thing that I do like about this is the fact that they force you to go to the other zones. Pretty much before, people who were doing this to farm beads would pretty much exclusively stay at Resenjima and only fight the dragon there. So, by them forcing to go to other zones, it allows you to much more easily get the Vor Seals that you get for killing the dragon. I also like that they added new drops, with some of them being ridiculously strong and just, nothing else even competing with how strong these are. The big things that stand out to me are the 3% weapon skill damage along with 10 strength and 10 vit, and the enhancing magic duration waist piece that they have. Those two, along with, there are some other really good pieces, but those two really stand out in my mind that they are just the best pieces for that slot. And it just really does promote people to try and do more Domain Invasion. Plus, I really just like the overall number of rewards you can now get from doing Domain Invasion. The number is substantially higher, so it really does encourage people to do this event pretty much every day and try and cap out your points. It also just really helps that a lot of gear like the Resenjima armor and weapons and abjurations are now accessible through Domain Invasion, which really cuts down on new players trying to rely on getting help from other people to get it, as they can easily get it themselves. It also substantially cuts down on mercenary work for this, which I really like because that is just something I'm really against. So all in all, with the reward system, with you being able to much more easily get Vor seals, just the amount of different items you can get, along with a lot of the items being really strong, and just the ease of access for new players, those are the changes that I really like for Domain Invasion, and I'm just happy that they made those changes. Now on to the stuff that I'm not so happy about. So, I'm not really a fan of the fact that you can literally just AFK as long as you are within the battlefield ring, and that you get points. I just really don't like that. It just promotes, being lazy and leeching. While I'll admit I've definitely, AFK'd and gotten points before, just because I use it a lot of times when I'm trying to take care of real life things. I, though, wish it wasn't the case, because the point should be to try and play the game and promote playing the game, not promote, let me go do something else in real life while I just wait for this event to, happen and pass just so I accumulate points. I also don't really like the getting the last hit on the mob to get double the amount of points. I've seen people try and do some really shady stuff and just kind of go out of their way to try and make sure that they are going to get the last hit, although there's nothing that you can do to guarantee that to 100%. But it's just making people, not really work together, which should be something that's more the main focus. I think they should have done something that if you're working better as a team, you should be then getting more points. Not, I'm going to try and hold this mob until every other mob is dead and then weapon skill it down, and it just creates some animosity between other players that I've seen. The fact that you try and get the last hit. It's just really annoying that the main focus and bonus is to try and snipe the last hit, as opposed to trying to work together and, do your best, instead, just let me make sure I get the last hit on this to get bonuses. I just really don't like how they did that. I'm also kind of on the fence that the more people you have, the faster that the domain invasion goes. I mean, on the one hand, speeding it up so you're doing more domain invasions in less time is definitely good. I'm all for that. But it's kind of like a double-edged sword with this. So if you have more people doing it, yes, you should try and speed it up because, you're wasting more people's time. But just because you have less people doing the event means you should waste more of their time. I kind of just feel that the windows should just get sped up overall. Just not, if there's more people doing it, then we should speed it up even more. It does kind of promote more, I should go during these peak times when more people are going to be doing it to try and get it done faster. I'm just not really a fan of how they did it. I'm glad they did implement that, so that way it can go faster than it would normally. But like I said, it should be going faster all the time, not just only going faster for pops when there are more people doing the event. And that about covers Domain Invasion, the good, the bad. Overall, I do like the changes that they added. I like that they made it more accessible for new players. I like that they made it an event that you should be doing more and actually made the rewards worthwhile. I just wish that they didn't have this whole, last hit try and snipe the kill. Instead, I wish they would have done something more where everyone gets additional domain invasion points by you guys working together and, say, doing something in like a stagger type system or something like that. Just the fact that, it's literally promoting getting the last hit as opposed to trying to work together as a group and do something to the dragon or the ads just seems like a missed opportunity to me and just seems kind of lazy. I also, wish that, if you don't engage and do at least a certain amount of damage or get X amount of hits, you shouldn't get any points at all, because that way it would eliminate the whole AFK problem that happens with this event. But all in all, I do like the event. I like the drops. I like the speed of access. I like that you're hitting all the dragons in all the zones. So all in all, I do think it's a good event. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the channel, and may you have success in all you do.